All right, guys, just making sure that everybody can hear the sound really quick. Testing, testing. Everybody in chat, type and go ahead and to see if my audio works or not. I'm gonna go ahead and let chat let me know if it's all good or not. Just because I just want to make sure that everything is working fair, is working great. We're gonna, obviously have a couple more people join, but what's up, guys? Welcome to the live stream. I know this is an early live stream, but this is the Florida primary elections, and there's a lot of statewide races happening right now. And we're definitely going to look at a lot of the other races, but the main race I wanted to pay attention to was Miami-Dade's mayor county race, particularly because I do know one of the candidates. He is the mayor of my hometown, so I do have a little bit of a preference bias, when it comes to who I want to win. But I'm probably going to be one of the only people actually tracking the results like live, essentially, except for like some of the mainstream media. And so we have some numbers here. Before we even get started, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel as well. I would greatly appreciate if you would do that. We can see here. This is a page where Eric has been tracking the votes coming across the state of Florida. And what's interesting about the state of Florida here is that right now Republicans are at about 1.5 million votes for the primaries. Obviously, turnout's going to be lower during a primary because, this is just how it is. And we clearly see here Republicans are at about, they're at a majority of the vote, which is pretty interesting. They're at a majority, so that's a pretty intense vote share. If we refresh, we'll see here if they actually gone up again. So they've been going up the whole day. They actually started out by leading by 8 points, and they're now leading by 14. So clearly, election day turnout was really good. I think Democrats in Miami-Dade were leading by about 3 in party registration, and now they're only ahead. I mean, if we look at the new numbers, they're ahead by 0.6%. They're really not ahead by that much. Democrats and Republicans in Miami-Dade are practically tied. Now, if we look at some of the results that we're expecting, we have the Democrat primary right now. We also have the Republican primary with incumbent Rick Scott. I mean, I don't know how that primary is going to go down, but I'd expect it to go well. We have a couple of House district races going on too, some state legislature and House races, and we also have a couple of other races for sheriff. I don't know why they removed the mayor's race off of this, but we do have the results pulled up here from Decision Desk HQ, and then we also have the results, out of the actual precinct data website. So like the official website for Miami-Dade, they also are going to have live results here as well. These were the previous results for the election. You can actually even see who won election votes, early votes, vote by mail. Like, you literally can see all of that. So this website is pretty cool where you can actually see everything kind of unfold here. So that is pretty interesting. And this race is going to be interesting because obviously Daniela Lavin Cava, she's the incumbent mayor. And this is it's a non-partisan race, but it's effectively it's a partisan race. Like, the way they've been campaigning has been very partisan to an extent. So I'm basically treating this as a normal jungle primary election. But right now, we actually see Alexander Alex, he was the other Democrat in the race with Danilo Vincava, and they didn't even add up to 50% last time. The Democrats literally didn't even add up to 50% in the primary. So that's a bad sign for her, because if her party couldn't even add up to over 50% back in 2020, that's going to be a little bit concerning for her going into this one. Now, Danilo Vincava is the only major Democrat in the entire race, so she's going to probably get a lot of the base there. She is the incumbent mayor there, so definitely it's going to be quite a challenge for Manny Sid or Alex Otaola to actually win outright today. I doubt anybody is going to win outright. Even if we look at the turnout data, looking at Miami-Dade, I honestly really doubt that she's going to get over 50% today. It's possible, but I kind of doubt it because Republicans and Democrats are practically tied right now. And we don't have a lot of data out of this race. We only have 2 polls, and we can actually look at those really quick. And one of them is the only one. There's only one that actually matters because it's more recent. There was one poll that came out of EMC Research from August 29th to September 2nd. So literally like a year ago today. And we had Daniela Vincava at 63%. At 63%, Manny was at 16, Otaola was at 15, and then there was another poll done by the same polling firm, which I don't know why they have different numbers, but she was at 55, Manny was at 19, and Otaola was at 8. Otaola is kind of like this MAGA candidate that's running for the race, but he's had a lot of ties with Hillary Clinton. You know, he was a Democrat in 2016. You also had the fact that he kind of has been LARPing about the fact that Trump's endorsed him. Like, Trump literally has not endorsed him for the race whatsoever. So that's definitely going to be an interesting factor. And I mean, he has ran a somewhat decent campaign. However, it's mainly been online. It hasn't really been that much of a physical campaign. And when it comes to local races like this, having an online campaign is really a lot of cancer. It's electoral cancer. I mean, realistically, if you look at these results, I mean, right now, those old poll, and this was also an internal for Daniela Vincava too, so they were obviously going to have her above, and this was a year before the race was going to even happen, so it's kind of not fair to, you know, say that would be the case. But we did have a poll from May 14th that came out with about 474 likely voters. So it's a little more iffy, but it does have her below 41%. However, it is a, you know, Republican internal. So, and this data is fairly old. You have a lot of undecided. So this is the only data we have. That's the only data we have. Manny Sid, right now, he's kind of have the... what can I say? He has the upper advantage as the main Republican candidate, mainly because a lot of the media tends to ignore Alex for some reason. They tend to do that quite a bit. Like, a lot of times the local media won't even mention the fact that he's a candidate in the race, like, period. So that is going to help Manny out to an extent. But Otaola, you know, I mean, he has somewhat of a base. Now, he's ran a pretty online campaign, and like, for example, the Secretary of State race in Missouri, Valentina Gomez, she ran a super online campaign like he did, went around saying a bunch of stuff, and she ended up getting like 7% in the primary. Like, having a really online campaign is not necessarily going to help you. And right now, the thing is, we don't really have polling data. The best thing we have right now, really, to be honest, is these polls from my channel, which obviously they're going to be skewed very Republican because of the fact that my channel's a majority Republican. But if we look at the first poll I did for this, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people who answered this are from Miami-Dade, because this only has like 400 votes, and all of these other polls that I get like 11,000 votes, 13,000, 15,000. So I'm pretty sure the people who answered this mostly are from Miami-Dade. And again, very skewed Republican sample. So you have Manny Sid at about 50, Otaola's at 21, Daniela's like at about 4%, undecided at 25. So that's a big chunk, right? So this was the first poll that I tested for this, and I tried doing some preliminary weighing. So what I did was I actually asked everybody on the channel, what is your party affiliation? It says about 76% are Republicans, 21% independent, and 3% are Democrat. And so I applied those weights to this, and Manny's in about the mid-30s. She's kind of above Manny right now, but again, if she doesn't get above 50, she does not advance to the runoff. And Otaola was kind of in the the mid double digits, kind of like 10 to 20% or so. The good news for Manny is the next poll, yes, technically had him at a slightly higher vote share. So he's at about 56 here. Daniela at about 8. So that is higher than this one. But Otaola's vote share just completely fell. And there was a lot more undecideds. But now when I did my most recent one, we'll actually refresh it just to see about 250 votes. You see that undecided vote share dipped about 20 points. So that's a big drop in that vote share. And Manny went all the way up to 78%. And this channel is more of a good way to gauge where the Republican partisanship is for the most part, because there's like literally no Democrats on here, and trying to weigh this is like impossible, because if you weigh it, Daniela gets over 100%. Like, it's not gonna work. But this gives a little bit of a vibe check for the race, and it seems like a lot of undecideds possibly could have broken for Manny last minute, which I think is very interesting. And really, his race is really what he has to do is make sure Daniela doesn't get above 50, which at this point with the turnout data we have may be difficult if Republicans win independents. Like, if Republicans in Miami-Dade win independents outright, Daniela's not going to get above 50%. And Otaola has had pretty low polling numbers to the point where I don't think the polls are going to be off by 40 points. And this is a Republican internal, by the way. So this should be helping out Manny and Otaola. And Otaola's only at like 6%. So that's kind of interesting. That is pretty interesting to see that being the case there. And really at this point, this August poll is effectively out of the race, to be honest with you. Like, it's really is basically not even convenient or like even relevant to the race anymore, because it's a year old. Like, that's like saying, oh yeah, we're going to use polling data back from 2023 of August to go ahead and gauge the race. So, all right, guys, give me 1 second. I will be right back, everybody. Hold on. Hold on, guys. Give me a second. All right, guys, I am back. Sorry, I actually just spoke to Manny on the phone right now really quick. He called me really quickly, so, I just didn't want to have that on stream. So, but I am back here. So, yeah, he's at, roughly 78 right now. And that's a big difference from 56 in the last poll. Like, he picked up a large chunk of the undecideds. Now, clearly, these are not like official numbers. Like, I'm not saying he's going to get 78% of the vote in the race, but it is interesting that he did pick up he picked up like a sizable chunk of the channel votes for me to be like, okay, yeah, like he definitely had a good day today in terms of turnout. Like, it was enough of a difference for me to be like, okay, yeah, like it's pretty solid. And I just spoke to him right now. He said that he's at a precinct right now, kind of talking to voters and stuff. And he saw there was a lot of people there. Like he said, there was a bunch of people, and he thinks that it's going to be pretty tight. So that's interesting, and that kind of matches what the data is showing online in terms of the party affiliation for the race. So I mean, that's fairly interesting. And again, we don't know where the independents are going to break. Like we don't know that. We don't know where independents are going to break, but we do have an idea of what the electorate's kind of going to be, which is basically a tied electorate. And I'm almost 100% certain if we would have gone back to this in 2020, the electorate probably would have been like D plus 20, because like there's no way. John Featherland says he watches your stream. I don't know if he's watching it right now because he's busy, talking to people and whatnot, but he may possibly tune in later. We'll see. Do you think Suarez runs for governor in 26? I mean, it's possible. It's possible. Definitely possible. But we're going to see when results pour in. Now, I am a little bit concerned about, in terms of, again, guys, about 13 more minutes until polls close. So things are getting pretty close here. And they did put this back. Okay, so they did put the mayor's race back on New York Times. I just want to have all the pages loaded up, because I like, for a lot of these races that I like pay attention to, I like having multiple things up at once. So John Featherland, it's just funny that he called you when you were talking about him. I mean, I talk to him on a consistent basis. Like, I've been helping him out and stuff. Like, I clearly have like a favorite candidate in this race, but I'm going to try to report it as best as I possibly can without any bias. And I do have to say, Otaola is probably going to get a decent vote share. I think his votes are going to be underestimated, and I also think Manny Sid's vote share is going to be underestimated too, just because of the fact that this poll is so old and there's so many undecideds left over. Now, again, my channel is a pretty good way to gauge where Republican voters are feeling, and he just took a decent amount. Like, you're talking about going from 51% on a sample of like 400 all the way up to 78%. As these are coming in, we'll clearly get a better picture once the samples are pretty similar. But he definitely picked up some undecided voters today, which is great, which is good for him. He definitely picked up a lot of undecideds, and we are 13 minutes away from poll closings. The one thing I am glad about Florida is that they count results fast. Like, they count very quick. So like once Miami-Dade results start coming in, we'll have a pretty good idea of who's going to start leading in the first few percentages of the race. And the only annoying thing about this race is that we're not going to have like a county precinct map. I wish they had a precinct map for this, because I'd be able to report the race even better if I had precincts for this, because I'd be able to show you guys, okay, look, this is where the vote's coming from and whatnot. But unfortunately, I do not have that for this race. The only way you can really look at it is going through the precinct data. You technically can look at it by precinct here, but they don't have it on like an official map, so it's a little annoying. You can't really look at it on an official map. Now, what I am going to do is I do have this website pulled up, and what I am going to do is I am going to compare the precincts, to the current ones from before, to kind of see where the race is going. So that is fairly, interesting, and we got about 11 more minutes until the polls close in the state of Florida right now. So, and again, really, Manny Sid, what he's got to do, he's got to get over. I'd say if by 50% is in, if he's at about over 25% and like 50% of the votes in, and Daniela's like less than 40, I'll probably end up calling the race, because usually in Miami-Dade, they start reporting the city inner areas first, from my understanding. They start kind of reporting those first, and then they kind of go into the outer exurban areas. And so if she's not above 50%, and we see there's like a consistent trend of her going more and more down, and like the Republicans going more and more up, and he's polling well ahead of Otaola, I'll probably end up confirming that her and him will be advancing into the runoff. But again, we'll see when the results come out. There's still a lot of time, for people to go vote, about 10 more minutes for people to cast their ballots. So very, very interesting stuff that we have here right now. Now, looking at the presidential race, it's interesting because, I mean, Republicans are up in this by a lot. I mean, you're talking about the electorate being R plus 14. Just to give you guys an idea, the electorate in 2020 was about R plus 8. So this is almost double the electorate from last cycle. And it's funny because I've said, okay, well, I am going to, say that there possibly is going to be an underestimation of Trump in my model. Like I've stated it multiple times, saying that it's definitely possible for that to happen. And it clearly seems to be the case, because if Trump was going to win Florida by 6.7 like my model has, there's no way that the electorate would be R plus 14. It would have to be like R plus 1 or 2. Maybe even, well, it could probably be like 7 or 8, but Harris would have to win independence, and I don't think she's going to win independence in Florida. I doubt it. I doubt she's going to win independence here. So it's kind of like it's a little iffy, but these are the only numbers that we have so far from Florida. So that is, fairly interesting right now looking at all of this. And I know it's early, but we are going to go ahead and we're going to be waiting for these results as time goes on. Let's check the Miami. Let's check the poll on the channel again. Hopefully it's above 300 now. Oh no, it's not. It's a little bit above. But again, 78. Daniela 6. Otaola 6. Like, honestly, if Otaola was going to have a real shot at getting second place, he would not be at 6% on this. Like, he would not be at 6. I mean, if he does get second place, I wouldn't be, like, extremely surprised, because he's been, running some sort of a decent campaign. But again, there's no TV ads. Hasn't ran any TV ads whatsoever. So that's not a good sign. And he also hasn't talked to any local media. And I understand maybe he has this whole thing where he doesn't want to talk to the mainstream media because he wants to avoid the establishment and whatnot. But that doesn't work for a local race. Like, that just does not work. And the problem is when people try to imitate Trump, usually doesn't work. So he's at 7, Manny's at 77, Daniela's like 6%. So it's very, very interesting stuff here. And look, again, like the older polls, I mean, their numbers, Daniela and Otaola's numbers haven't really changed much, but Manny was like at 56, but undecideds were a way higher number, like by far. It wasn't even close. And now we have a sample that's almost the same as that one, and Manny basically he basically took all of the undecideds, essentially, and even took some of Levine and Alex's support. Well, not really Alex's, because Alex is at 7, but like Alex didn't really get any undecideds today, pretty much. Manny got the huge chunk of them right now. He got the big chunk of undecideds. So again, guys, 7 minutes until the polls close. 7 minutes. We are very, very close. Not even 7 minutes. It's actually less than that now. So we will be getting results very, very, very soon. And we will see what happens here as of right now. Now, let me go ahead and do this really, really quick, because I do have to go ahead and do this. I'm going to put you guys on the wait screen really quick, so I will be right back. Give me 1 second. right, guys. So we are pretty much almost at poll closings now. So we are going to go ahead and see where we are at. We are literally just about there. We are about 4 minutes away. And I don't think Miami-Dade starts reporting like exactly at the beginning, but Florida does count pretty fast. Like, I mean, they basically called the state for Trump at like 8:30 p.m. Eastern. So, like, we'll have a good idea. Like, we'll know who's going to win within the hour. Like, we're not going to be here for long, which is nice. Like, it'll be a decently shorter stream. So, we'll be looking at precincts and whatnot. So, I wonder if these update live. I'm, like, curious. I wonder if these do update live. Brian Walters for 2. Thank you very much. That community poll where only 50% of the audience Harris would win Washington, D.C. is funny. All right, hold on. So let's see, literally results are about to start literally any second now. So literally any second now they're about to start. Literally in 2 minutes we get results. Man, I'm a little nervous, but we'll see what happens. I am a little bit nervous though, for 100%. So we'll see what happens here. All right, guys, in literally about a minute, we're gonna get results. And literally like a full-blown minute, we're gonna get results. So let's do this thing. Oh boy. In about 1 minute, here we go, guys. 57 seconds as of right now. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, once we get like the first 25%, like we'll have a good idea of where the race is, particularly. We'll know where it is. Let's go ahead and look at the lead. Republicans gained literally 0.01%. So in the final tally, it looks like the electorate in Florida is about R plus 15, which is even higher than I thought it would have been, to be honest. Now, again, this doesn't exactly correlate to Election Day, but, I mean, the electorate in Florida is probably going to be above 10% Republican, and last time it was about 8. And if Trump is winning independents, he's probably going to win the state by close to 15 points. So, all right, guys, here we go. Let's do this thing. So the polls have closed. Most polls have closed, says New York Times. We're going to be checking Decision Desk HQ as well. The polls have also closed as well here too. We're going to be refreshing the county results here. Nothing yet as of right now from anything. It's still literally the first minute, of what's going on here. In most states, 10 counties in the Western Panhandle close an hour later. So all of Miami-Dade has effectively closed at 7 p.m. now. So we will be getting results fairly soon. And right now, yeah, this is having an error right now. So, yup. Let's check the final stat. 5 tests. Final prediction. Manny Sid will lose his primary to the incumbent by 10. I mean, yeah, he could lose by 10 or 20, but as long as she doesn't get over 50%, she's not going to be the incumbent mayor right now. She will advance to the runoff. And I don't think anybody's going to get over 50. I mean, it's possible, but with the data we have right now, she'd have to win independents in order to even get 50%. And the final numbers are a 0.6 percentage point lead for Democrats in Miami-Dade, and Republicans are above 40%. As long as they run even with independents, if independents are running even, they literally, she cannot get over 50%. And we don't know exactly who is 100%. We don't know exactly who is voting for who when you look at that data. You just see the party ID turnout numbers. Okay, so we got results from the Senate race. Nothing from Miami-Dade yet, though, but we did get from Broward County. I mean, Rex Scott is up, 84% of the vote to 8% for the other two candidates, and Debbie Murkowski-Powell is up in Flagler County by a 50-point margin, essentially, and that is the only results that have been reporting right now. So that's all we have so far. Nothing from Miami-Dade yet, and 6% of the votes already being reported in the Republican primary. So that's kind of interesting that only about 6% is reported, because there's about almost 100,000 votes in. We see Lake County, he's getting about 85%. So I don't think it's going to be a competitive race, in my opinion. I don't really think it's going to be a competitive race whatsoever. Again, no updates from the mayor race right now. We probably are going to have, nothing here is really going to change, because now results are starting to close in. It'll probably go up a little bit for Republicans because of the panhandle. So the electorate's basically going to be close to about R plus 15 statewide. So that's what we're going to really be looking at here. And again, nothing from Miami-Dade yet. Once we get results from Miami-Dade, we'll kind of have a good idea of what's going to happen for the mayor's race. Because I'm sure once they report results for that, they're going to have to tabulate votes for the mayor's race. So that's definitely going to be fairly interesting here. Again, I don't think there's anything out of this yet. Nope, we have nothing from the official county site either. We can look at some other results. We do have in Osceola County, Debbie's up 61-21, but Scott is at 82%. So again, and they're basically tied in turnout. So again, he has a little bit of a stronger base, and right now Democrats are actually outrunning. They're outrunning Republicans right now, but they're at 14% of the vote with 162,000, but Republicans are only at 9% of the vote at only 20,000 votes less, meaning that effectively Republicans are probably going to have higher turnout, which is expected. That's what we've seen in the data coming in now, and nothing again from Miami-Dade is in, so we're not going to have anything for the mayor's race right now. Top Dog Obedience, Trump is on Theo Von's vodcast. It's amazing. Really? He's actually on that? Oh, interesting. Again, nothing from Miami-Dade, but we should be getting results soon, because usually they start reporting Miami-Dade pretty quickly. Nothing from the precinct data either. For the mayor's race, we do not have anything right now from the mayor's race whatsoever. More results coming in. Nothing from Miami-Dade. More preliminary numbers in some of these exurban counties in the state of Florida. Again, Osceola, all this. The Senate primaries are effectively not going to be competitive, and Republicans are. You see, look, Democrats are at 209 and they're at 17%, but Republicans are at a little bit higher and they're at 13%, meaning there's more Republican votes left to tabulate than Democrats. So Rick Scott's probably going to get more votes than his Democrat challenger, and he's getting a higher vote share than her. So that's not a great sign for Debbie either. That's not a great sign. And again, nothing out of Miami-Dade, so clearly we're not going to have anything for the mayor's race just yet. I don't know why I was refreshing the old primaries. Okay, more data. We have Hillsborough, Pinellas County results here. Debbie's at 77%, and we have Rick Scott at 81%. And oh wow, Debbie's only outrunning Rick Scott there by literally 1,000 votes right now. Literally just about 1,000 votes separate the two candidates. So that is really interesting. That is very, very interesting. Only about 100,000 votes. 1,000 votes. Excuse me, not 100,000, but only 1,000 votes are separating the two candidates in Pinellas. And if we look at the results for Pinellas in the turnout data here, we see that it was actually 0.7% Republican, and not all the results have been reported in, and we're already at about almost 20% of everything reported in. Miami-Dade's probably going to be done counting pretty fast too, because it's only an individual county. We're at an average 22% of the vote already counted statewide, and it seems like Rick Scott's going to hold on fairly easily. Debbie McCaskill-Powell is also going to hold on. He's probably going to outturn her, or outvote her more than likely. Again, nothing from the mayor's race whatsoever right now. We also have nothing from the precinct website, and I believe we don't have anything from this either. But once Miami-Dade comes out, we will have it. Okay, so Jacksonville's now in Duval, and Republicans right now are actually out-edging, they're actually outvoting Democrats in Duval. Rick Scott actually has more votes in Duval than Debbie Powell does. So that's a really good sign for Republicans. Okay, we got Monroe County, so they're probably going to start reporting Miami-Dade any second now. They're going to probably start reporting that any second now. Daniel Webster just won his primary for the Florida 11th Congressional District. Congratulations to them. Again, we're probably going to start getting results out of Miami-Dade very soon. We're going to probably get them any second now, because usually they start reporting them around this time too. So, and we may get results for the mayor's race fairly quickly. Like, by the time they report it, we may know like half the results already, because usually when Miami-Dade dumps, we get like 20-30% of the vote in already. So we'll have a good idea of where the race is going to be once everything effectively comes in. So Republicans, I mean, obviously the Democrats are really beating Republicans in Broward by a substantial amount. So that's expected. Republicans ahead by about 40,000-ish votes in the state. About 20,000 votes-ish, 25,000 in Florida right now in the Democrat and Republican primaries. We have a couple state legislature races right now. Nothing from the mayor's race once again. A lot of these Miami-Dade races obviously are not going to be in yet either, because there are no results out of Miami-Dade right now. So you'll see about, it's the 7:09 right now. Nothing from Miami-Dade yet, but something really big just came in. Where do we get that from? Oh, we got Hillsborough and more Tampa results. So, Pinellas, Republicans, wow, they're like tied. Like literally, Debbie's ahead by like literally 400 votes in Pinellas. And in Hillsborough, Republicans are up by 6,000 votes. So Rick Scott's ahead by 6,000 against Debbie in Hillsborough. And they are now separated by a margin of almost 100,000 votes in the primary. So that's a huge difference. And Collier County came in too. He is outturning her there by quite a bit. Henry County Republicans are also outvoting her there too. And Miami-Dade County Republicans are at 20,000 votes. Democrats are at about 10,000, or at least Debbie is. So clearly, the Republicans are going to have... Rick Scott's probably going to win re-election. Now, do I think it's going to be the same amount as, other places? No. Okay, more results came in. Man, nothing from Miami-Dade yet. Why are they waiting so long to report results from Miami-Dade? That's what we're here for. Lee County, Rick's got about 43,000 votes. And then, right now Debbie's at 18,000. So right about there. And there's a big gap between them. Rick Scott now leads Debbie by over 100,000 votes in the primary. So that is nuts. Any second now from Miami-Dade. Any second now. I'm a little nervous. I'm a tiny bit nervous right now for this race. But we currently have nothing. 5 tests. Miami-Dade is currently rigging the results. Well, why would they be rigging the results for a primary? No, I don't think you understand. The main race I want to pay attention to is the mayor of Miami-Dade, the Miami-Dade Mayor County race, because I know one of the candidates, and that race is a little bit questionable. Like, there's a lot of question marks there because they really haven't done any polling there, and it seems like there's been a lot of energy on all fronts. So, RFK Jr. is being considered for Trump's Attorney General. Oh, I wonder how that's going to go. Once we get tallies from the Democrat candidates in Miami-Dade, I'm going to look at these before I even check the mayor's race results. So again, nothing exactly yet. We do have a couple of Democrat primaries coming in statewide. So this big district, less than 1% of the vote, 20 votes are in. That's funny. Right now, they're preventing my man Keith Gross from winning, unfortunately. Who is... Oh. Really? The guy who's getting 50,000 votes? Come on. Nothing from Miami-Dade yet. But clearly, it's very obvious that Republicans are ahead by a substantial amount. They are ahead by a substantial amount statewide, or at least Rick Scott is. They're ahead right now, like, period. But at least with the top of the ticket candidate, they're ahead by a decent amount. And if we look here, we can see still the same numbers. The Republicans went down 0.01%. So, again, still nothing from Miami-Dade. Nothing from Miami-Dade. We did get some county, some results here. Leon County, Debbie's at about 14,000 and Rick Scott's at 8,000. That's not that bad. I thought it would have been a bigger margin than that, to be honest. I thought it would have been a bigger margin for Debbie there, but apparently it's not. Once we get Miami-Dade, it'll probably end up, the state will be at like 60% county, but they've counted pretty fast, so we'll have results for Florida like really quick. I'm calling the state at exit polls for Trump regardless. Like, I'm practically calling it for him by then, so, I'm gonna call Florida for Trump at exit poll closings, even though no one else will do it, even though that's the common sense thing to do. Just because the nation's going to move to the right, the state's been trending to the right, like, it's just a no-brainer. And looking at the registration data, like, it's almost like California. Like, they'll call California in, like, the first minute, but they will wait an hour or 2 hours to call Florida when it was very obvious Trump was going to end up winning it by 80%. So, some minor results came in there. Nothing really too big, but Republicans statewide now lead by over 100,000 votes themselves, and Rick Scott is leading Debbie by a decent amount. It's almost a 200,000 vote lead in the primary, so that's a big chunk of voters. That is a humongous chunk of voters right now. Nothing from Miami-Dade yet. Nothing from Miami-Dade. Is it usually like this? I always thought we would get Miami-Dade results first, but that's interesting. Oh, I think they're updating these. All right, so we have results. We have results from the mayor's race right now. I don't know why they haven't been reported on Decision Desk HQ, but we do have some results here. So it is about, okay, so she is at 60% right now, and Manny Sid is at about 42,000 votes. Alex is at about 11% right now. We do not know how much of the vote this is. I don't know how much of the vote this is. Okay, so Rick Scott is leading Debbie in Miami-Dade by a pretty substantial amount right now. And we see Sid, again, nothing has been reported on New York Times right now, but she is clearly at right now in the precincts. She's doing somewhat well, and she's at about 60% right now. But again, we don't know how much of the vote this is, and it even says precincts reporting. None of the precincts have even finished counting, so these are probably very, very small results right now. So we will wait and see. See, literally nothing has been completed. Early votes. Oh, completed early votes reporting are done. Oh, that is not good for Daniela because she's only at 60. And if that's all the mail-in votes, so early votes are completely reported, and they're still reporting the mail-ins, which those are not necessarily great for her either. So we'll see if she gets below 50, because right now she's at 60%. So she is at about 60, but again, nothing has been reported on New York Times or Decision Desk. So nothing's been reported. Okay, they did report results here. So she is at about 60%. Manny Sid at about 21%. Otaola is at 11% right now. Again, precincts reporting 0. So these are probably small results right now. But 200,000 votes have been reported. So this is probably about like 10% of the vote is in for the race, possibly. But again, I may be miscounting that. I don't think, though, those are the final tallies. I think they do have to keep updating some of the results right now. Let's see here. Yep, okay, still she's at about 60 right now. But none of the in-person vote, none of the election day votes been reported right now. None of the election day votes been reported yet. So, yep. Oh, wow, that's 68% of the vote-in? Oh, that's not good. That is not great right now. Oh, boy. That is really not good. If that's 68% of the vote-in, that is not great. There has to be another big vote dump for Manny if he's going to want to go to the runoff. Because if she gets above 50, the race is effectively over. So we will see what happens when they finish reporting the rest of the results. Terminally online campaigns work. Remember that when you eventually run for office? No, they don't, because Otaola's at 11 and he ran the online campaign, so I don't know what you're talking about. I never ruled out the possibility that she could get over 50, but I would think it would have been hard considering that Democrats and Republicans were really not at that high of an amount right now. So clearly she's at about 121,000 votes. So that's there. Manny Sid at about, 21%. So he is in second place like I expected. But let's see if she gets under 50. And about 68% of the precincts, or not precincts, but at least 68% of the votes have been reported right now. Damn, he got pretty good turnout. I thought honestly there was going to be less turnout overall. So that's interesting. And Otaola's like at 23,000, which is slightly more than his entire Twitter following. That's slightly more than the amount of Instagram followers he has on his vote account. So, I mean, I expected him to get above 10. I didn't think he was going to get 6. I also didn't think Manny was going to get below 20 either. And I don't think that's going to be the case, because if we go, to the race, it's very obvious that they have not finished reporting a lot of the results. None of the election day votes have been reported at all. So we will see how those will break. Hopefully those get her below 50, because as long as she's below 50 and he gets second place, it's over. And it seemed like the election day votes were really good. I mean, the Republicans went by leading from 8 all the way to 14. So, and it says none of the election day votes have been reported. So, and about 13% turnout right now is in for the race. And that's about 68% of the votes reported according to the New York Times. They have not called the race, though, which makes sense because none of the election day votes are in. And I'm pretty sure they start counting the inner city areas first. Let's see. Precincts reporting still 0. So we'll see how many. I mean, right now, let's go to the actual Senate. Let's go to the Senate turnout map and see how many votes Republicans have. Yeah, there's no way that they're. Yeah, no, there's no way. That's interesting that Daniela got more votes than all of the Senate primary candidates combined. That's really interesting. Rick Scott at about 70,000 votes there. So, and the county's only at 67, 59% reporting. So the race is definitely not over yet. The race is definitely not over. It may be close. She may get in the high 40s, low 50s. I don't think she's going to stay at 60, but she may get in the low, mid 50s, possibly high 40s. So we will see. But again, none of the election day vote has been reported at all. And none of the precincts have finished counting. So we will be waiting as time goes on. We clearly see right now, none of the election day votes are in. Early votes, I believe, are partially counted right now. Or I think it said the mail-in votes are partially counted. I believe it was mail-in. I think early votes are done. Mail-in is partially counted. She got a lot of mail-in votes. So that was definitely a factor in her being above 60 right now. But again, once these election day votes come in, we'll see if she's above 50 or not. We will see what happens for sure. But I did expect Otaola to get... I did expect him to get below that margin. I did expect him to be in third place. So at least I was right about that. And it looks like my percentage ranges are going to be fairly accurate for the race. So again, we are going to be waiting for more results out of the... Oh, and there it is. It's over. They called the race for her at this point in time. Yep. So it is over, guys. They called the race for Lavigne on Decision Desk HQ right now. They just called the race for her. And again, once she's above 50%, it's effectively over. So, and they did call it for her. So she did, in fact, win re-election right now. They have not reported it on the New York Times. And they also, if we go over here, none of the election day votes have been reported. Or maybe that's just that she's going to advance. I don't even know because... I don't know, because literally none of the election votes have even been, day votes have even been reported. So I don't know why they called it so early. That kind of seems like malpractice to me, but I mean, it is what it is. Literally none of the election day votes are in at all. So we'll see, but more than likely she probably did get over 50%. Oh, yep, and there it goes. Oh, well, no, those are precinct results. I don't know why. I was like, oh, there's more, but no. The New York Times has not called it. No more results have been reported thus far out of the race. None of the results have been reported thus far. I'm a guy like Trump. I'll be eating barbecued hamburgers tonight. It's great to be an American. Is that her being confirmed to have won re-election, or is that her advancing to the next round? I don't know what that means. They didn't even call any election day votes. So let's see again, 0.6%. That means she must have... I mean, again, that's early in mail-in votes. So election day votes, I mean, we'll see what they turn out to be because there's still a bunch of the vote that hasn't even been reported yet. Still at 67, still at 59. So they haven't even reported anymore. Do you mean that the Republicans had a good mail-in vote? I mean, the Democrats were only leading it by 3, and Republicans were up in the early vote by quite a bit. So I'm honestly kind of surprised that she's still above 50 right now, because the mail-in vote data that we got didn't even look great. So the mail-in data didn't look great for Democrats, is what I'm saying. Did they report more? No, nothing out of Miami-Dade. Nothing out of Miami-Dade. The New York Times hasn't even called it yet. And they haven't even called it. Let's see what happens. Because I would find it kind of strange if they... I would find it strange if they called an election without any of the early... without any in-person data votes in. Levine Cava got the rep endorsement at the last second, so I guess he saved her chances in the primary. What do you mean what do you mean Ready Go Politics endorsed Levine Cava? What are you talking about? What are you talking about right now? Again, guys, we'll see what happens here. Nothing else has been reported yet, so we're still waiting for more results. Still waiting for more right now. It even says, like, precincts reporting 0 out of 751. So, and the total combined votes in Miami-Dade, I mean, they're going to add up to a little bit over 300,000 probably when everything's done counting. So I don't really suspect for only 200,000 votes to have been casted in this. Again, literally nothing has been reported. Nothing else has been reported yet. See, look, literally no election day votes have been counted, and mail-in is... So early votes were completely reported. That doesn't even make sense either, because, well, it depends on how much of the early vote share... It depends on how much of the vote was early. Totals do not include all mail-in vote ballots by 7 p.m. at Eastern. Totals will be updated when those ballots are processed into the system. Does not include vote by mail-in ballots that have been rejected. Okay, so clearly the results haven't even finished reporting yet. I mean, it's obvious she's going to advance to the next round, but it may not. The race may not exactly be over, because if somehow, totals will be updated. We will see what happens. Yeah, he's at about 78. So clearly he won a decent amount of Republicans. Like, clearly he was going to be the favorite. Did they report more results out of Miami-Dade? They did not. They did not. They did not report more results. Let's see what ends up happening for the rest of the race. I mean, at this point, I'm not going to call anything, because theoretically I have made things to show that everybody's going to advance to the runoff, but I didn't make one for somebody to outright win. Let's see, did they report more? No, nothing out of Miami-Dade just yet. Again, there's nothing out of Miami-Dade yet. Republicans did close the gap in Miami-Dade by about 3 points. So it's a little, because they were down, I think, like 3.5 yesterday, and then today they closed the gap to a tie. So the election day votes definitely did play a big factor. Campbell is the only one up on a county. Oh wow, she actually is winning in a county. That's interesting. That's pretty funny. But wow, Rick Scott's leading by a lot. That is interesting. And he's leading by quite a bit. Leading by quite a bit. But again, nothing from election day votes yet. And the mail-in vote hasn't even been completed either. So, and possibly they dumped a lot of Democrat votes in the beginning first. So it's possible that when they report more, she may fall a little bit, but we'll see what happens. You see, if we scroll down, see, there's some precincts that haven't even reported yet. There's a couple precincts that don't even have data out, so we will see what happens. And there's a few precincts that haven't even reported data. The last update we got, we just got updated more. We just got more updates. Hold on. We just got more updated results. They just updated more. Let's see where we're at now. Okay, so the race effectively didn't change much. It didn't really change. We got some places reported, but it didn't really change. So it's possible she may have won. Again, nothing on the New York, nothing there. What about on the New York Times? Did more come in on the New York Times? No, nothing came in on the New York Times yet. So we are not exactly certain. But the numbers effectively didn't even change too much. I think Manny did go up a tiny bit though. So, and I think he technically did close the gap like a tiny bit, or maybe nothing did come in. Actually, no, I don't think. Well, they reported like 7,000 more votes. Like they didn't really report much. Yeah, 71% of the vote. Yeah, they reported like a small dump. They didn't really report that much more. They did not report that much more. Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, so it was a little bit of an update. 20% of precincts reporting. This may be that she won. So it looks like Manny Sid probably will not go on to the next round, and she may in fact have just won re-election automatically. It seems to be the case. Let's look at the updated results. Yeah, so, oh wow, and she won a large chunk of election day votes right now too. Like, she's at a high amount right now. She's at a pretty high amount. So, she's at a pretty big amount right now. Election day votes partially reported. Yeah, so not everything has been exactly counted, but the chances of her going under 50 are going to be pretty slim, and vote by mail is still pretty low. So vote by mail is still somewhat low. It kind of makes sense too, because it is a nonpartisan race. So like when you go vote, like you don't see the party lines when you go vote for them. Like you don't see if they're a Democrat or a Republican, which is kind of smart. That kind of helps the incumbent a lot, because I guarantee you, if it was a partisan race and you saw their party IDs, there's no way she would have gotten over 60%, because Rick Scott right now is outvoting Debbie by 20,000 votes in Miami-Dade. So it's a pretty big difference. Yeah, the race. Yeah, no, they dumped like 7,000 votes. Like, they didn't really dump that much into the race right now. They didn't really report that much more. Mm, 70%, 61. Oh, they just wait a minute. Let me see if they reported more. She probably did win, more than likely. In my ranges of results, I did have her getting over 50. So, Trump on the Theo Von show. I definitely gotta see that interview now. Now, this is decent, because if Manny decides to do it again by 2028, he'll definitely have the advantage, because he would have been the candidate to have gotten second place. So he could definitely, I mean, it's definitely going to be possible for him to have done it. Hello? Hi, Darlene. Good, I'm on stream. Yeah, he's cooked. Hello? No, I said he's cooked. Like, she's at. Hello, can you hear me? Hello? right, guys. So it seems to me that, I mean, right now we're still waiting on election day results. Like, they've barely reported any election day results, but it seems to me that she probably did win. $70, $61. Yeah, did they just report more? Oh no, they did not. I saw like the numbers change. I was like, what? But I think he did go down. Yeah, no, they haven't reported anything, but barely any of the election day vote is in. Like, barely anything is in right now. Look at the early vote totals. I want to see those. I wonder how many Republicans she won, because she must have gotten a decent amount of Republicans in order to have gotten that. Early votes, 30,000. He got about 17,000. Otaola got 16. So he was roughly tied with Otaola, but the mail-ins, he actually did really good with mail-in votes. Way better than Otaola, which is interesting. And the election day vote, she's kind of crushing him right now, but we still kind of have to wait and see what happens, because if he closes this gap by 10,000 votes, she probably falls below 50. So, and they haven't reported any results, period. They haven't reported anything. And they have not reported any results at all from election day, except like a couple thousand, which is like nothing. Okay, I think there should have been more results that just came in. Okay, well, she went down to 59. She went down to 59%. She went down to about 59. And they only, oh, but wait, that was only a few thousand more. That wasn't that much more. Hold on. Let's see something. 74%, and she went down a tiny bit, and he went up a little bit. So, and it seems like he kind of closed the gap with her, and there's still about 30% left. So it's possible for him to like get her barely under 50, like barely under 50. It's possible, but it's going to be really tight. Like, the possibility of that happening may be very slim. Yeah, 32% of precincts have reported, and he's at 21.6%, and she's at 59.7%. I want to look at the election day vote now. I want to see what the date on that is. So he did narrow the gap a tiny bit there, like a tiny bit. Otaola mostly got his votes from the early votes. That's mainly where he got it from. But again, we still have about 25% of the race left to report. So Manny would have to win those election. He'd have to beat her in election day turnout by a decent amount in order to do it. But more than likely, she may have won. But it is possible. But he would have needed to have won them by a pretty lopsided margin. He would have needed to have won them by a lopsided margin. So we will see as the votes kind of come in now. Otaola's at about 25,000. Okay, nothing yet. If she keeps in each of these little dumps, if she keeps falling like, a percent here or there, it may be possible to get her under 50, but chances are that's probably not going to be the case. Republican, yeah, the electorate was basically tied in Miami-Dade. And Republicans have more votes. Damn, he got 1 million votes in the primary? Wow. He got a lot of votes. He got quite a bit there. Mail-in votes are partially completed. Election day votes are partially completed. So there's still some mail-in votes left to count. I mean, if he pulls her under 50, it would be amazing, but I don't think he's gonna do it now. I don't think so. Dash represents detailed groups. Between 1 and 29 votes. Again, still, it says 32% of precincts reporting, though. So it's like, is it 32% of the vote-in? Does the New York Times have this wrong? Like, it's kind of weird. Like, I don't know. Because here it says only 32% of precincts are reporting. So it's like, is there still more votes outstanding? Like, I don't understand. And the New York Times hasn't called it either. Like, not even half the precincts have finished reporting yet. So it's like, I don't even know if this is really over. Like, the New York Times, and the turnout number keeps going up. So, I mean, it's possible she won, but I don't know why the decision desk called it. Maybe they called it as in, like, she's supposed to be the one to the next runoff. That may be it, but to say that she won outright right now yet is a little iffy. It's not like she's at 80. I mean, if she was at 80%, then, I mean, yeah, she probably ended up winning, but we'll see what happens right now. If in the next batch dump she's at like 54, 55, he's got a shot. But decision desk lines up with the county website. Yeah, it says 32% of precincts reporting. So is it 32% of the vote is in? Or like, what's going on? Because New York Times says 74% of the votes are in. So this doesn't really make a lot of sense. And New York Times tends to have these pretty weird too. Let me look at the sheriff race. Oh wow, that one's pretty close. Oh, Joe Sanchez is in second place right behind? Oh wow, I didn't think he was going to get... interesting. Interesting. Very interesting. Well, guys, I think I'm going to end the stream here. So make sure to hit the like button and